In my personal opinion, I believe that D&D currently has a power building problem, and I say this as someone who's been both DMing uh, D&D for a while. I've been a game master for 90% of my career, and it really this really got brought to my attention when I first started DMing Pathfinder. Um, but I feel like every character nowadays, like every other character I am seeing, is either a Sorlock, a Swordin, a Barbarian Battle Master, or just some kind of absurd multi-class that should never work. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to stop your players from power building because, like I've said, it's become a problem, and most people would agree with me. I mean, it's almost gotten so bad that in my entire 3 years of DMing, I've only ever killed one player character, and I've been trying. So my first piece of advice to remember as a game master is that you have all the control. You can ban multi-classing, you can ban certain feats from people to take, you can ban race options and class options. There have been certain races and classes combinations that I ban outright in my table. And for example, one of those is I ban turtles at my table. I just don't like them. Their armor class buff it's too much. And the turtle shell feature, having them being able to hide in their shell, once again, pretty powerful. And just remember when I say this is something that I feel like a lot of game masters have gotten used to recently is allowing multi-classing. This is especially a big thing in 5th edition because multi-classing and feats are both optional rules. You do not have to allow them. And I've gone on record saying before that I don't exactly enjoy multi-classing. Yes, I've played a fair share of multi-classed character. I've DM'd for a fair share of multi-classed characters, but I think D&D 5e as a system has been built around the idea that everyone is going to be a multi-class, and because of that, you can create some very unbalanced class features like Sorlocks. I used as an example earlier. You know, they can pretty much get into this cycle of making unlimited spell slots, and then you put in 2 levels of Paladin in there, and then boom, automatically you have an Eldritch Smite machine that just works off of charisma and is doing 50 damage by level 4. So that can really be a pain in the ass. Now, what I've seen some DMs do is story locked multi-classing, basically meaning that you need some kind of mentor or you need a story reason to multi-class. And I think that's all fine and dandy until someone comes into your campaign, because let's be honest, most campaigns start at level 2, level 3 at this point with a 2A multi-class that they explain using their backstory. And, all of a sudden, then that takes away all your agency, that takes away your way of, basically telling them, hey, you can't multi-class, but then they'll just say, actually, I wrote this in my backstory, blah. And so you kind of lose the opportunity of telling them, hey, no, you actually need a story reason for this multi-classing, because they're still fitting within that guideline, but they've done it in the most actually way possible. And so one way I have gotten around to telling this, or one way I've gotten around to stopping this, is basically saying no multi-classing if we're starting at a level higher than level 1. Yeah. Now, even more recently, I've started seeing some outrage about background features and feats. The biggest one I want to talk about is the Outlander background. This pretty much makes it, I'm pretty sure this is a player's handbook option for your background, but it makes it so you can basically track down enough food to make rations for you and your party whenever you are out in the wilderness. That kind of destroys a lot of campaigns that are based around wilderness travel or wilderness survival. Imagine if you're playing Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and then every time you rest by a pot, you immediately gain 5, cooked meals in your inventory. Now that's kind of overpowered, especially in D&D, especially in a system, bless you, my dog just coughed, especially in a system where it's pretty much implied and expected for you to consume a ration before every long rest, that can be very powerful. I don't find myself banning a lot of backgrounds because usually I won't keep track of rations or anything like that. But some backgrounds that I do ban are typically compared into are typically part of like pre-written campaigns or all that stuff. So for example, the background in Here Christmas Child Haunted one, you gain 2 skill proficiencies from Arcana, Investigation, Religion, and Survival. All very good skill proficiencies to have for just any character in general. You learn 2 languages of your choice, which one of them must be Abyssal, Celestial, Deep Speech, Draconic, or Infernal, Primordial, Servanal, or Undercommon. Those are, once again, pretty good languages to have, especially if you're playing in a late game campaign. You also start off with 1 silver piece, a gothic trinket, a set of common clothes, one trinket of a special signiance, and a hunter's pack, which is a hunter's pack includes a chest, a crowbar, hammer, 3 wooden stakes, a holy symbol, a flask of holy water, a set of magicals, a steel mirror, a flask of oil, a tinderbox, 3 torches, and all of this costs less than buying it individually. That's a pretty powerful background. You're getting really good proficiencies. You're getting really good like languages, and you're also getting a bunch of starting equipment for your background. That's pretty nice. Now keep in mind, the average background, at least in the player's handbook, typically will give you around 10 gold pieces. The haunted one background gives you enough equipment to count for 33 gold pieces. Pretty powerful. Very powerful, actually. Some feats I have often seen people banned because they're too powerful is Magic Initiate, Sentinel, Savage Attacker, even though in my opinion that one's not very powerful because it's once per turn. And let's see, Healer and Telekinesis or Telepath. Banning feats are pretty easy. Personally, if I were you, like on your 1-page handout or in a text message or a Discord message, like a couple weeks before the campaign starts, just be like, hey everyone, just so you know, feat A, B, C, X, Y, Z are all banned. Do not plan on taking these throughout the form, or do not plan on building your characters around these or taking these within the campaign. That's a pretty easy way to ban it. However, then there'll be some people who are like, oh my goodness, my entire build is based around this character. So what do I do now if I built my entire thing? Kick them out of the group. If they were building characters before session 0, especially if this is your first time playing with them and you haven't, given them the go-ahead to do that, kick them out of the group. Now, banning multi-classes. There have been some multi-classes that I've banned to stop power building because while these characters might not be too powerful, like on their own individual classes, combined together, they are very powerful. Most common, Sorlock. My thought about it is, if you're a sorcerer, if you're born with natural power, why would you ever make a deal with someone to gain more power? I guess it could make sense if you're like a wild magic sorcerer that was trying to make a deal to like control that power, but I don't see why anyone would want to make a deal like that. Another one I ban is Sorlock. Or no, not Sorlock. Warden. Or Warden? Or is it Palalock? I don't know. It goes by like several different names. The Warlock Paladin subclass. Most of the oaths, because I've written up like actual oaths and actual packs for the subclass before, most oaths and most packs will say you cannot take up any other oaths or packs. That's why I banned this combination. That's just roleplay reasons. Let's see, some most common banned spells. You can just tell people, like, once again in a text message, that these spells are going to be banned. Silvery Barbs, Goodberry, and let's see what else, like Detect Thoughts, Detect Magic, and Comprehend Languages. These are some commonly banned spells, and I get why. A lot of these, like Goodberry, Detect Thoughts, and Detect Languages, kind of will take away a little bit of the swashbuckling stakes away from a survival adventure, because everyone wants that scene. Every DM wants that scene where you take this magical artifact that has like ancient writing on it that like no one has been able to translate for hundreds of years to this one special guy, but then your wizard just comes along and is like, okay, I'm gonna cast Detect Languages, or I'm gonna cast Comprehend Languages, and then all of a sudden they know what it says. I think that just takes away a little bit. Same with Goodberry. We've talked about the Outlander background before and how that was just too powerful. And Goodberry is basically that, just more simple. It allows you to make a handful of berries that will basically feed you for the night. One way I've seen DMs get around this is insanity. If you are eating one berry but it's filling up your stomach enough for the night, for like one night of rations, eventually that's going to take a mental effect on you. Silvery Barbs, I don't think I need to go into why that's banned. Yeah. Alright, everyone, so this has been the kind of video/rant for tonight. Thank you for tuning in and watching, and I will see you next video, next time I upload. Also, stay tuned because there's about to be a blooper. 3, 2, 1. So my first piece of advice as a game master is to remember, holy crap, my thing is about to fall over.